That's the before, that's the after. Before and after. We're going to learn how to cleaning up the background. We're going to learn how to fill in all this hair that you see that has been lost. Then I'm also going to show you how to also fill in these gaps, and we're going to also edit the skin tones. When you look at her eyes as well, they're a bit red. We're going to whiten these eyes. You're going to go into Google right here and put in Adobe Firefly. And when you get to that particular website, you're going to look for the generative fill feature. If you don't have an Adobe account, make sure you open up one so that you can access all these. So it is going to bring you on an interface like this. So what you're going to do, you're going to come and then we're going to drop it into Adobe Firefly right here. The first thing we're going to do, we are going to first fill in these gaps right here and also right here. And we are also going to come and paint over here, just like that, because we want the hair to fill in all these gaps. We're just going to come here and say hair. Simple as that. And we're going to say generate. Now, this is what Adobe Firefly has generated. We're going to keep this. I don't want this. So I'm just going to come here and say, again, hair, again, generate. And when you look at what AI has generated, I really don't like what it has generated here, but I'm going to show you a way out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to come and also paint over these particular things I don't like in the background, so that I do all that panel beating right here and also here. And I'm going to come here and say remove. Just come and also paint here so that I lose all that. Then generate. Okay, let us see what it has generated. It's generated that. I think I'm going to keep this, then I'll come here and download. If you're using a version that is not paid for, especially for those of you who are using the free version of Adobe Firefly, one thing you're going to notice about the pictures it generates, sometimes the pictures are low resolution. I don't want to edit on this particular layer because most of the times Adobe cuts down on the resolution of an image. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come here and drag it back into Photoshop right here. I still want to work on the original pixels. I've dropped the Firefly image on top of my original image. That was the before, and this is the after of how Firefly has helped us. So this is the Firefly layer. I'm just going to come click on it and then create a layer mask just right next to it. And I'm going to press Ctrl I to invert the layer. And after, I'm going to get my brush here, press caps lock so that the brush shows. And then I'm just going to get my brush and paint white over those particular spaces that Firefly has, edited out. Of course, I'm going to show you how to remove that Firefly logo. All this, we're getting rid of all this, and then we're going to come and paint in the hair where Firefly also. Right here, we're going to paint in that hair. Also right here, we do the same. We are going to come and just merge this because to avoid confusion. So in order to merge, I'm going to press Ctrl, Shift and E so that I merge those layers. So what we're going to do, we're going to come and duplicate this right here. And then I'm going to zoom in and create a new layer on top. And we're going to rename this Blemish. Okay. So Blemish, we're just going to get this layer, then get my spot healing tool. I sample all layers, I make sure that is ticked, and then I'm just going to come and begin cleaning up all this. This is the panel beating we've done. Basically, we've got rid of the bars and also removed the stains on the background. So the next thing we're going to do, we're now going to do the frequency separation. We're going to do our skin retouching. We're going to create a stamp of this particular image so that the effects that we've applied all through here applied on the top layer. We press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E to create a stamp, and then we're going to come and also duplicate it another time. Yeah, so this is going to be, now we're going to call this our tone layer, and this is going to be our texture. Okay, you know, for those of you who don't know, frequency separation is a technique that high-end retouchers use to retouch images, whereby they maintain the texture of the image, but whereby they maintain the texture of the image and as well as the tones of the image. So what we're going to do, we're going to separate the layers from the tones of the image so that we get the ability to edit the tones as tones and also edit textures as textures. So what are we going to do now? We're going to come and remove the eye icon from this, and we get onto the tone layer right here. Then we're going to get into filter. We say blur, Gaussian blur, and then now this is where most people get it wrong. Once this blur goes wrong, the first blur, the final image is also going to go wrong. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to come into the picture here and click find beautiful skin texture. I think I love this texture here, and I'm going to come and blur it out. Now every single piece of texture that I want to maintain in the final image, I want that to be blurry. Okay, so I'm just going to come, don't just drive the mouse without watching what you're getting. You come and go one step up, just like that, as you gauge, you know, the texture. Again, you go another step up. Let me zoom out so that I see whether I still see texture, until I see that the skin is somehow smooth with no texture at all. So I'm going to come and do that. I don't want you to cram numbers, because when you cram numbers, you end up getting images that are, you know, that are either too plastic or too overdone. That is why I don't want you to cram numbers, and different resolutions require different blur amounts, and different focal lengths also desire different blur amounts. So just use your eyes and gauge, you know. So that is a sweet spot for me. I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to come onto the texture layer right here, and we are going to uncc it again, and then we are going to come, we're going to come when the texture layer is selected, we come onto image, you say apply image, then we're going to come here and say subtract. Remember, we are subtracting textures from the bottom layer. Every layer, every particular texture that we blurred out in the tone background is going to resurface back into the texture background. So we're going to subtract that texture off, and we're going to put the scale at 2, and we're going to put the offset at 128, just like that. You should have something that is a bit, that is gray. So the next thing we're going to do, because we are subtracting actually texture from the bottom layer, it is what we're going to do. So we're going to come here and say tones. You make sure it's the tonal layer that is selected right there. So when you zoom in this particular image, you see how all the texture is right on top of this layer. So this is the texture. So what we're going to do, we are going to come here and say linear light. So basically, when these two, this is the same image. The only difference is that we have the textures on their own layer and also the tones in their own layer. First of all, we're going to do what they call removing blotches before we even get into the actual skin refinement. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new layer in between the texture and tonal layer, this, and we're going to call this blotch removal. Now, this helps you remove things like dark knuckles or those uneven skin tones. We are first going to get that. And when you look at her skin texture here, also here, it seems to be a bit dark. So we're going to get a brush right here, and we'll reduce the opacity to around 6. And you get your Alt, you press Alt on your keyboard to choose a color around that particular area. And then we are going to paint over those particular zones that we want. Then we are also going to do the same. Let me reduce the flow again, because I feel this is too strong. I'll put it at around 2 is okay. I pick that particular color, and then I come and paint over. This is the same technique you can actually also use to remove things like dark knuckles. Now, when you look at this, we have some kind of white highlighter that really, you know, destroyed the whole thing. I also come around this area. The neck is a bit dark. I know it is because of a shadow, that is why it's dark, but the kind of clients that we serve don't understand that below the chin there is always a shadow. And if you're in Africa, most clients will tell you, I don't want to appear as if I'm bleached. So most of them usually want us to match the skin tones of the necks with the face. And most of the times makeup artists also forget to put, you know, the same foundation on the neck area, so you end up having a completely dark neck compared to the face, because the face was given a different kind of foundation. So you come here and also fill in with a brush. Look, before, after, before and after, and I think you get the point. It's the same way still you remove dark knuckles. Assuming you had a dark knuckle around here, you could just click here and then, you know, you edit, remove all that. But I don't like this hand. I'll just have to crop it out. But you see the before and after, before and after. So basically that is what the blotching layer does. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to work on the skin texture by removing all these blemishes. So in order for us to see the texture clearly and what we are editing, we're going to create a help black and white layer right on top of the texture layer. So you come here and say black and white. So in order for us to see these particular textures clearly, we're going to come and touch the reds and crush them all the way down. You see how we have more clarity onto the reds. So we go back onto the texture layer, and then we're going to begin now retouching right here. Right here. So we use, now the reason as to why it's bringing these black things, it's because we have all layers selected. This time we're supposed to work on the current layer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to untick this and press Ctrl Z, and then we're going to use this just like that. So we go on picking out the pimples that we don't want in our picture. Now most people usually wear these wigs. I don't like this wig line, so most of the times I come and just edit it away so that I get more of a seamless blend. I remove also this. Though the best solution to do all this would be about using the Retouch for Me heal process, but this particular tutorial is for those people who don't have the Retouch for Me plugin of heal. By the way, if you want it at a 20% discount, you can check it out in the description below if you want to use the Retouch for Me plugin, because with the Retouch for Me plugin, all this actually can be removed, especially the blemishes. The heal tool, it would remove all this in a second. But if you don't have the money to buy the tool, this is the way to go. Though I would highly recommend it, especially if you own a studio and you do a lot of people photography or portrait photography. It is a tool that is worth having in your arsenal. It's really very amazing. Personally, I have it. I would have used it because when you look, I have the Retouch for Me heal. So I usually do my retouching using that. Yeah, but because I understand some are beginner photographers and they don't have the budget for it, and yeah, so that's why you would take this longer route. So anyway, I'm not going to be perfect. You can always perfect it for your clients. I'm just going to keep it at that. So what we're going to do, we are going to go back on the tonal layer right here, and then I'm going to come here. I'm going to put this at 18. Now we're going to begin working on the tones. I'll come and select this and then begin smoothening. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And then I'll come and smoothen and blur this out. You don't want to blur it out until you lose the highlights, yeah? So still I come, do the same thing here. Filter, blur, you say Gaussian blur, blur it out right there. I still come here, I blur it out right there again. I press actually Alt Control F to repeat the action that I did in the filters. Oops, sorry, I'm using a mouse, that's why I'm having these issues. Like that. Sorry, okay, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So I can blur it out. Of course, certain parts need different amounts of blurs. And when it comes to the neck, I usually try to over edit it, because usually when it comes to the skin tones of the neck, they usually have a lot of dark lines, rather darkness that is weird, and very many uneven skin tones. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I don't want to do a Gaussian blur until it becomes, now this is too flat, so I still want to maintain the form, the shape, and things that make that person look like them. Okay, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, just like that. Then I'm also going to come here, also do the same like that. Right here again, I blur out, come into the eye area, I blur that out. I also come also under the chin right here, I blur that out. Under the neck, usually under the neck I do a bit of over editing, I really take it overboard, so I'll push it out again. So we come here again, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Then I also blur this out to make the skin tones even. Here again, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Yeah, you see how the skin tones are getting even. It's really not hard. Okay, right there. Still also come, do the same right there, there. Oops, now this is overboard because I'm losing out on the highlight, so I'll come and say blur, Gaussian blur. Now that is flat, and I cut down on how blur it is going to be, so I'll also do the same on this other side of the eye right there, the same amount of blur. Also here, usually the part in between the two eyebrows is usually bad, so I'll still come here again, also over her nose area, I blur that out. Also get into here, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, blur this out as well. Also here, right there, come here as well, do the same right there. So when you look at this, we have really something very, very amazing. So I'm going to still come on the texture layer right here, and I'm going to come and remove this particular pimple, also this, also that, also this. I don't like these lines, especially if they come in like they're not coming. Yes, I come and remove also these. Yes, right there. Okay, so we have a problem with these flyaway hairs. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get this clone stamp, and then I'm just going to remove them. I press Alt and select a particular texture right there, and then I remove these because they tend to make the wig come off as too cheap. And if, for example, you're doing a hair shoot, you don't want to have these crosshairs really getting in the way of your edit. Yeah, like that. Look at this, guys. This is so amazing. Isn't this amazing? Okay, I'll still come, blur it out more, come onto the hand area, then blur it out more. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to come here. There is this silent line that is really running, that is bothering me in the background, and what I'm going to do, I'm also going to come and blur it out. Filter, blur, you say Gaussian blur, so that we feather that out. I'm going to do the same over this zone, like here where generative fill, because I prefer blur. The same applies here. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, so now what is the next thing after this? Of course, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to have to delete this black and white layer. It was only for helping. So after now the frequency separation, you're going to do what they call burning and dodging. Now, burning and dodging helps you bring back depth into the whole image. So how do you do this? We're going to dodge and burn using not the burn tool, because the burn tool is kind of destructive, but we're going to use curves. Now, on a face, what parts do you dodge and what parts do you burn? Let me show you. I usually want to dodge the highlights, all these things, to emphasize what the makeup artist, the highlight, facial highlight under the chin, all these cheekbones, I want to really dodge. Sometimes you could even dodge on top of the hair, on underneath the neck, around that area. All these chisels, you want to dodge those particular areas. And what do you burn? Mostly when you're burning, you want to burn. I'll use a different color for the burning. Let me use the blue. Now, for the burning, you want to bracket the face out, burn all these layers, but it has to be, let your lighting determine the kind of burning you want. Then you're also going to burn in these particular nose contours, also are in the shapes of this nose. You're going to burn in the mascara, all this to make it even darker. And you're also going to burn towards the edges. Basically, you also burn in these particular cheekbones. Basically, what you're doing when you're doing burn and dodging, you're doing contouring. What a makeup artist would have done on set, this is what you do, you know, in Photoshop. So what are we going to do? You come here and you get into curves, and then you pull that down. That is going to be our burn layer, this particular one, and we're going to call this burn. And then you're going to press Ctrl I to invert it. Then we're going to get into here, get still the curves adjustment layer. We get raise this, the curves, and then we're going to rename this dodge, okay? And press Ctrl I to invert so that it is off. So the first thing you're going to do, we are first going to burn. Now, we have a major problem with the burn that we put in. When you look at the burn, it really made the skin tones feel red, and we need to desaturate it a bit. So what we do, we come into adjustment layers here, we create a hue saturation layer, and then we clip it by clicking here so that we only have this effect affect this layer that is below right here, and then we cut down on the saturation just like that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we do the same actually to the dodge as well. We come here, create a hue adjustment layer, and then you click right here so that it only affects that particular dodge. Let me just put it down, re-invert this again, and click onto that. Then I'm just going to come and pull down on the saturation just a little bit. 21 is okay. And then I'm just going to come here and still invert it. So, and still the burn, I'm also going to invert it so that we don't have it all showing, so that we burn the particular parts that we want. As I had showed you the parts we are burning, so I'm just going to press my keyboard, caps lock on my keyboard, so that the tool comes back. So I'm just going to come here, I put it at around 4, and then 4 is a bit heavier. Let's put it at 3 right there. Now this helps actually even sharpen the nose and bring it closer. So I'm also going to burn rather around the forehead. I burn in the cheekbones just like that, all around here. I do the same. I burn onto the edges so that we cast those shadows. Burn in the cheekbones. I also come here, do that right here. I bring in that. I emphasize the mascara, the nose ridge under the chin here. I do the same over here, right there as well, under the eye. I bring in the cheekbone under the chin here. I bracket in the face by burning around that particular area. Same here. Then so let's look at the burn. Before, after. Before, you see how we've bracketed in the face. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to burn around the mascara area, just here around the eyes, so that we emphasize the makeup and make the eyes pop. Because the more you emphasize this mascara, the whiter the eyes are going to appear in the pictures. So I usually darken it in such a way that I get more emphasis, so that the white of the eyes is even more emphasized. So that is why I burn around and darken even the mascara more. Okay, see what we have. See, let's look before and after. Before, I mean, isn't that amazing, guys? So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come and now do the dodging. Still, I'm going to get my brush. So I'm just going to come and draw in the nose contour, bring in that nose highlight, also punch this up also around there to emphasize, you know, the makeup artist's work. Around the forehead, I highlight it. I also come highlight that area, also highlight there. Then I'm going to just come highlight under the chin, right there. Now, when you look carefully, we have also highlights over the lips there. You give the lips that glow under the, you see. Then I come also over here. I emphasize the nose contour, emphasize that. Then I punch in the cheekbone, highlight the forehead. Also come, get a big brush, emphasize the nose contour, nose highlight. I come also over here, give it a big, also over the chin, the eye. So I'm going to also come over here, emphasize those particular zones. Look at this, guys. That's the before, that's the after, before and after, before and after. Now, if you don't want to go through all this trouble, I would advise you get the Retouch for Me portrait volumes. Retouch for Me portrait volumes would do this automatically for you. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to come and work on the eyes. And how do we do that? We're going to use the hue saturation adjustment layer. So I come here, I say, hue saturation. Then the eyes not usually are not white. So I'm just going to come, desaturate it a bit. Yeah. And then I'm going to look for that particular zone where the eyes seem to be white. I think that's it. That is the particular hue I'm going to use, around -138. Then I need to brighten them up just a bit like that, so that they're not too dark. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this and call it eyes. Yeah. And then I'm going to do Control I, to invert the layer, because I don't want the effect on all the layers. So I'm going to come here, get my brush, increase the opacity and flow, and I'm just going to paint over like that. Now, some people make a mistake of painting over this particular zone, and they have an eye that doesn't have this pink zone. Once you do that, the eyes are going to look too artificial, and you're going to hate your pictures. Same applies here. I come paint over. So what I do, I just cheat, I make sure the brush doesn't go overboard into the pink. So what we're going to do, we're going to now to panel beat by changing this. Then we are going to rub away, bringing black on top. We rub away all this, using this is the non-destructive way of really editing. So I come still, who is next? Fabiola is next. Come brighten the eye. Here I do the same thing right there. Okay, did I? No, I didn't actually. So I come here. I put actually white on top to paint back. because I didn't actually edit her eyes like that, and then come and clean with black on top again by removing them from here. And I mean, look at this. Isn't that amazing? Before and after, before and after. Let's look at this because you'll see the difference from here. Before, after, before, after. So the eyes basically are not white. It is usually a tint of a particular color. It's usually like a light blue of sorts, okay? So the next thing we're going to do, now we're going to work on the colors of this particular image. So what are we going to do first? Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're first going to work on the skin tone. So I'm going to come here and say selective colors, and I'm going to make sure it's red. Yeah, that is on top. So what we're going to do, we're going to come and then bring the cyan, remove the cyans just a bit because I want the skin tones to be that red that pops. I'm going to bring in a little bit of magenta more, and I'm going to turn it towards the blues just a little bit, like at -8. Then black here to emphasize the texture, the skin textures. I'm going to come and just increase the reds in the blacks, yeah, in that whole image. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come after selective color, I'm going to come here and look for curves, adjustment layer. Now to give it like mode, that is what the use of adjustment layer. So I'm going to pull this a bit down so that I darken the shadows just a little bit. Yeah. Then I'm going to come onto the top knob, and I'm going to come and pull it up just to give the image that pop. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come here onto the blue adjustment layer, and I'm going to pull this down. Yeah, so that I get in more warmth in the skin tones. Then I'm going to come at this particular high point, and then I have the highlights right there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to come with my levels to brighten it up right there, and then I'm just going to pull the midtones just above. Then I'm going to darken the shadows a little bit towards that side and bring back this a little bit more, and then I'm going to pop the highlights just like that. Okay, I think this is really amazing. I love the results already. Now usually this is optional. I usually love having my pictures a bit vibrant, but before we go there, now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to now re-emphasize the skin textures, because I feel like we've lost really a lot of skin texture here. So I'm going to create a stamp of this particular image, and then we emphasize the textures. So I'm going to come and press Ctrl Alt Shift and E right there, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. So I'm going to rename this delete, yeah, and then I'm going to remove this new texture just for your understanding. Yeah, okay, so what are we going to do? I'm just going to come here and see this, and then I'm going to come into filter, you say blur, and then you say Gaussian blur, and then we only want to blur it like something close to, say, let me see, 3.5 pixels is okay right there. So we're going to come onto this new layer, make it visible again right there. Then you come into image, you say apply, just as we did frequency separation. So we're going to come and steal the texture from the delete layer so that we re-emphasize it there, keep it at subtract, and keep the scale at 2 and offset 128. So we're going to come here and say linear light again. So watch what happens when we say linear light. I'm going to come and blur out. Once I blur out, you see how the textures on the skin come back? You see, this is how the textures of the skin come back, so that you have them crystal clear. So what I'm going to do, I don't want this texture to be really everywhere, you know. because I feel it now makes it look too much of an online downloaded picture. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come create a layer mask next to this by clicking the layer mask icon. So I'm going to press Ctrl I, yeah, so that I have the texture filled in where I just want it, yeah. So I'm going to put the white on top so that sorry, there are dogs barking in the background. I'm recording this at night. So I'll come and emphasize it over the forehead, the chin, to those. I think I would also love it around the eye area to sharpen the eyes and give the picture a bit more presence. Yeah, I will do the same here. Paint over, then I come also re-emphasize the texture in her forehead, on the cheekbone area. I'll do the same here for Faith, and right there. Let me just come and also remove that. Now basically what I've done, I've only put the textures in those places where I feel I need to have the textures there. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to crop out what I really don't want. Actually, we are done with the image itself. So I'm just going to I'm going to crop off this and also this bottom wig that AI generated that I don't want. So I'm just going to say Ctrl Alt Shift and E to create a stamp, and I'm going to get my crop tool. I'll crop it in the dimensions of 4x6. That is what printers usually print. Then just going to come crop it over there so that I crop it also right there. Basically, that's actually how we edit high-end images. Now let us see where we've come from. Yeah, I'll put all these in a layer, in a new group, and let's put this also as well in a group. Now, oops, sorry. Now let's look at the before and after, guys. Okay, that's the before, that's the after, before and after. So there you have it, guys. I think now you know how to edit a high-end image step by step with no step skipped. That is that for today. I hope you guys loved this video, and if you want to put your editing or retouching on autopilot or on automation, I think you should check out Retouch for Me tools. They are really amazing tools to make the whole editing process super amazing and super fine. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you loved this video, kindly give me a subscribe, and of course like this video, leave me a comment of what has resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next one, and adios.